One family, one people, one planet, one love. One family, one people, one planet, one love. One family.
Places, everyone. Good morning and welcome to SoulCall Sunday. And whatever you're celebrating this week, whether you're Muslim and you're in the Feast of Ramadan, or celebrating Passover or Easter, we welcome you wherever you are on your path. Or if you are celebrating the burst of spring, which is our theme this month is emergence. And emergence, and what does that mean? And today the talk is going to be about awakening and being the awakened one, what that could mean, something different for each one of us. So we welcome you wherever you are on your path. And we thank you for joining us live here in the room. I'll let people know you're here with us this morning. Excellent. So if you are living in or close to the Columbus, Ohio area, please feel free to join us live and in person every Sunday, starting at 10 a.m. If you get here a little early, that's great. But we start here at 10 a.m. and we'll live stream. So if you are living in different parts of the world, let us know where you are joining us from. We always love to see where our friends are tuning in, and we get to say hello to you, our friends in Canada and South Africa, California, and places in between. California, also Florida, Italy, Italia, Christy and Jane. So thank you for coming. Thank you for joining us as we explore the theme of emergence. And one of the things when we talk about awakening in consciousness is recognizing that there is light all around us at all times. It's within, it's without, it is the life force, it's the thing that juices everything, all this burst of spring from, we're going to talk about the significance of 3 days, the significance from fasting to feasting, and what that means, where that comes from, and how many different ways it shows up for us every single day, and how we can take that into a personal awareness to allow our own individual consciousness to awaken and to stay woke, as they say now, and to stay awakened in this presence and carry it through the seasons of our life. So to start that, I like to begin our SoulCall Sundays with the practice of Qigong, which is connecting body, mind, spirit, the 3 levels of consciousness as a human being that are mostly taken into consideration when we consider the factors of what it is to be a human on the planet Earth. So connecting body, mind, spirit together. We're going to call on our very own Sifu Helen Yi. If you're in the room with us, we can see whether you're practicing or not. If you've been faking it at home, no, just kidding. Find some space where you can practice Qigong. Go out.
Hi, everyone. Good morning. Okay, let's invigorate our chi and just purge out any kind of stagnation or stale energy. So I want you to take a deep breath in, connect your mind's awareness to your breath, and then exhale out, feeling all of that energy. Drawing your attention to the lower dantian, which is right here in the battery center. Take another deep breath in and exhale. And from here, we're going to inhale up our arms and exhale, bending the knees, swishing down, coming back up. Exhale, inhale on the top. Exhale and inhale. Let's do that 3 more times. Inhale and exhale, purging all that stagnation out. 1 more. Great. And then bringing the hands down. Just feeling that, visualizing it as well. The chi coming down, showering into your body cells, into your vital organs, into your muscles, and ligaments, tendons, into the deep bone marrow. All right, and now shaking. Just go ahead and shake everything. Let all your joints loose. Bending the knees. It's really just shaking it. Going to the side now. And then back to center. feeling all this time, continuation of the energy moving through into your meridian channels, into your cells. That's right. Hey, some of you guys have it going on. All right, from here, just feel that chi between your hands, feeling it into the palms, knowing that big circle of chi concentrated between the palms, palpating it, rotating it if you need to, visualizing it as white or golden light. The power of the life force, the universal cosmos to the macrocosmics of our universes within us. From here, concentrate it into a smaller but more powerful chi ball, directing it directly into the lower dantian for storage, to give you that vibrant feeling of vitality throughout the day. And the arms down. Thank you very much.
Thank you. All right. Thank you, Helen. Doesn't that feel good? A little hokey pokey Qigong. The Italian Qi, right? Always feels great. And so we're going to start in just keeping in that space, like internalizing the awareness of the energy that you can now feel flowing through your being, and maybe just close your eyes and flow into the awareness of that oneness with a song called Listen, O Drop. And it was written and inspired by the poetry of 13th century mystic poet Rumi, where it's listen, O drop, in the arms of the sea be secure. And one of the lines that sometimes is hard for people to pick out is the line that says, have you ever seen an ocean wooing a drop? Just asking it to be part of the larger whole. And that's what we're going to talk about today, is an immersion into the expanded cosmic intelligence, this triune nature of humanness, which can launch us into the experience of that oneness through embracing the cosmic mystery of 3 days fasting to feasting. And enjoy Listen, O Drop.
Listen, oh drop. Listen, oh drop. Listen, oh drop. Listen, oh drop. In the arms of the sea, be secure. In the arms of the sea, be secure. Listen, oh drop. Listen, oh drop. Listen, oh drop. Listen, oh drop. In the arms of the sea, be secure. In the arms of the sea, be secure. Have you ever seen an ocean wooing a drop, wooing a drop? Have you ever seen an ocean wooing a drop, wooing a drop? Have you ever seen an ocean wooing a drop, wooing a drop? Have you ever seen an ocean wooing a drop, wooing a drop? Listen, listen, oh drop. Listen, 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 oh drop. Listen, listen, oh drop. Listen, listen, oh drop. Have you ever seen an ocean wooing a drop, wooing a drop? Have you ever seen an ocean wooing a drop, wooing a drop? Have you ever seen an ocean wooing a drop, wooing a drop? Have you ever seen an ocean wooing a drop, wooing a drop? Listen, 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 oh drop. Listen, 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 oh drop. Listen, listen, oh drop. Listen, listen, oh drop. Listen, listen, oh drop.
That centeredness, we open up to the cosmic beloved, oh infinite divine beloved, the consciousness and the expanded intelligence and I are one. Joy and I are one. Peace and I are one. Wisdom and I are one. Love and I are one. Bliss and I are one. We are one. We are one with the cosmic intelligence, the infinite space present in every cell of our being. Awaken us into cosmic consciousness. Inform the beauty and the intelligence as the energetic blueprint of our consciousness as we expand in joy and awaken in presence. Om. Amen. Maybe just bringing your consciousness back into the room or wherever you are this morning. Once again, we welcome you. Let us know where you are tuning in from. And if you're watching us later on YouTube, we thank you for tuning in this weekend for our message on awakening, the Great Awakening, and exploring the month from, the beginning of the vernal equinox to now, and how many faith traditions fall in alignment with nature and the cycles of nature, and following nature and following the moon, the phases of the moon. I love the moon. There's a beautiful poem written by Rumi, and where he talks about, for Muslims, the Feast of Ramadan begins with the crescent moon, the first crescent moon following the spring equinox, all the way through to the next crescent moon. So that's why part of the symbol is the crescent moon. But Rumi says it this way, recognizing there's a feast that was going on there, internal feast. It's fasting to the outside world. And they fast for 40 days, much like Muhammad did when Muhammad was writing their book of, the Quran, when that was being channeled. So this is how they practice this feast time. But it was turning off the external world, the physical material world of eating. They fast from that world to take part of the nourishment from the internal world, harnessing the power of mind by not being fully governed by the needs and the wants and the desires of the body. So the poem is, beneath the thin crescent moon, each of us unselved. Here's a great word. Each of us unselved. What does that mean? That means giving up this idea that we are these individual ego-driven beings. Each of us unselved, indifferent to idle words. Indifferent to idle words. Idle words, meaning words that you would worship as if they were idols, as if they were the absolute truth. Sometimes we get caught, I was talking with a friend the other day, and we get caught in the literal translation of a word or a phrase or a philosophy. And we make it mean something, and it sometimes can hold us hard and fast, and we become slaves to it. You know, the significance of the Exodus, you know, that Jews are practicing Passover, celebrating Passover, and an important feast of freedom from slavery. You know, and I think it's so interesting that Moses parts the Red Sea. What if, this is just me meandering through all the different things and how they all weave together. What if the Red Sea is significant of the spine and the base chakra, which is red? Letting go of the slavery, the attachment to leavened bread, food, the idea of somebody else's way of doing something and finding your own particular way of doing it. Crossing the Red Sea, crossing right through the middle of the polarity which affects us on this planet. Positive, negative charges, north and south poles, magnets. Our bodies are magnetized the same way. What if parting of the sea is taking that middle ground to create a both and consciousness for yourself? Free from the old way of doing things, the slavery to the old thoughts and the oppression of those thoughts and ways of doing things. Liberating yourself, becoming fully awake into the awareness of who and what you can be. And then we get to, you know, Easter. These are just three of many examples of how this plays out in tune with spring. This emergence of a new, like rolling back the stone of a tomb of a way of doing things encased in a body. Stepping forth after a fast during Lent. I'm not sure, you know, so when I was growing up, I grew up in the Catholic faith tradition, and I always had way too many questions, you know, and I realized we would go from fasting to feasting. I always wondered why they didn't call it feaster, because after, you know, you give up something that you love. And it was never explained to me in a way that I could fully embrace the idea of fasting. It made it sound like power over. You have to give something up. I know somebody in this room who gave up lima beans. They didn't particularly like lima beans, but here, I'll give up something. But no, you've got to give up something you really want to eat. What is the significance of that? You know, and then of course, Jesus going off for 40 days and 40 nights. So we practiced that, but we weren't really taught what Jesus, the man, was doing. We were just told he made this sacrifice, you make this sacrifice. It's just kind of like blindly follow along. Does that work for anyone in this room? Probably not. That's why we're here and we're not someplace else this morning. What is the significance of fasting to feasting? And what are we fasting from? And then what are we going to feast on? Or with whom will we be feasting when we make this transition from this limited idea of we're just these bodies? How is this resurrection possible in 3 days, and why 3 days? Well, then it took a little deep into, you know, a dip into the Hindu philosophy to find a lot of the responses that made most sense to me with regard to the triune nature of humans. We have the physical nature, right? Most people are used to that. The astral realm. So if you can see colors around people, we have an astral body. And then the causal body, that from which we come. And then beyond all of that, beyond all duality, it's like the image of the infinite is awaiting us. When we shed these three ideas of what we are as humans and going beyond and pulling forth from that pure life force, pure energy, feasting on that and pulling it into our beings. So I know growing up, you know, Easter Sunday was one of the only days my dad, sorry, Dad, he's not with us anymore, but he's in that causal thing watching. It was one of the only days he did go to church. And I think part of it was there were all these places we had to visit right after church. You know, it was very much about feasting. This was why I thought it's got to be called feaster, because we would eat too much food. I mean, it would just be so much. My mom would start making falagones the week before. It's like potato pies, spinach pies. And then she would make Easter bread on Good Friday. And from 12 to 3, while Jesus was on the cross from 12 to 3, we weren't allowed to do anything in our house. It had to be very quiet, no music, no dancing, no laughing. We had to be very solemn. And we would actually sit around her bedroom, the bed, and we would do the Stations of the Cross. It sounds like, you're like, really? Yeah, for real. Everybody else was, yeah, it's a day off from school, but we were really sincere about it. And the bread would be rising in the kitchen. And we knew that after we did this thing, if we were all really good, we could have a piece of bread when it came out hot out of the oven, right? So I think about this now, and I think about the day that we could have the Feast of the Bread after we did this thing. It was kind of like the fast from it. But what was happening during that time, we had to really learn how to control ourselves and be good, be quiet, focus on the reading, the intensity of what was trying to be presented to us. And I started to think about Stations of the Cross, and I think about our lives and how symbolic it is, how many times under the weight of the consciousness we might be presented with or a situation, we fall. Well, what is it that resurrects us from the inside, that divine awakening that teaches us how to reach back for that blueprint that always has the response to adversity in the form of energy? And what if we can harness that at will more often? What if we could harness it at will more often? So my father would go to church with us because we would spend time celebrating with food. So we would go to the 10:30 Mass because it would be finished by noon. And that's when we would start hitting all the people from the old country, Italia. We go visit Mrs. Funuella. She would have a special Easter frittata. It was like asparagus, hot sausage, and eggs scrambled all together. It's amazing. If you get a chance, try it. It's really amazing. But the way she made it was different than my Aunt Antoinette, my Uncle Antonio, my grandfather. We would go there and just eat every place. And I would think to myself, my sister and I especially, I'm going to explode if I eat one more thing, but I couldn't not eat it because it tasted so good. That's not very disciplined, right? But we were kids. Looking at it now, I figured out, like, if we could truly recognize that fasting is more than just not eating the thing, it's the intention behind why we are doing the things we do and why we're not doing other things, the yama niyamas, if you're into Patanjali and yoga, the do's and the don'ts. And what if we started to feast more on, instead of the food for the physical body, the food for the soul? What if we made a feast of soul qualities this year, this week? What would they be? Some soul qualities. Shout them out to my live audience. They really have to know you're here. What would be an example of a soul quality? Kindness, compassion, love, peace, generosity. Yeah, all of these things. If we made our fasting, turning off the physical food, the physical nourishment of our cells, is another reason for fasting. When we can harness the attention, the deep attention, to recognize that we can live on cosmic life force. We can actually do this. When we don't eat for a while, when we take an opportunity to fast, it reminds the cells of our being that we live purely by the jolt of life force. And that's mostly what it's about. So not going back to sleep, and how to awaken in spring. It looks like these fasting periods are all about going into, most of the faith traditions have somebody going off into the desert or being alone. And I would think about that too. It's just like, yeah, they go from the desert, but then you get to have dessert. It's the same thing. It's all about the food. It's all about that, but it is about the food. It's about the food for the soul, the food for the astral body, and the food for the causal body. And how to connect the three of them together at will by directing our consciousness to be able to strengthen our bodies, strengthen the energy around our bodies, which is that magnetic field which brings into being the things that our heart is mostly magnetized around. So think about the things you love, or pick one soul quality to try to live it this Easter season, this season of spring. Looking out at I'm looking out at my window and it just seems like overnight, everything in the backyard is boom, there it is. And I love that analogy of every year things grow and expand and grow and expand. And it is in the way we prune the trees in the back, or the way we tidy up the yard in autumn, that allows for the new growth in spring. There are all these ways we tend to the things on the outside that give us particular information about how we tend to the inner garden, the inner consciousness. What do we prune away from our consciousness that no longer serves us? This dead branch on the tree, this dead, avenue of exploration of thought that never works. That just every time I do this, nothing grows there. What can you prune in your consciousness? What can you get away the dead branch of something that's just it's not serving you anymore? And what can you nourish from and with? I say from and with. We're creating a conscious global community here. So it's the people that come together with the same energetic charge to bring forth some things of beauty, or to just help sustain the planet we live on as we sustain each other. So it's the physical, the astral, and the causal body. That's the significance of the 3 days of this transformation. Most everything takes 3 days. Like we get a weekend, we get the Friday night off, Saturday, Sunday, and then the third day we're back to work again. Back to work at what? Working very hard at playing, just getting back to the soul's contract, what you wanted to be, what you knew you were before you were 2 or 3, before we had these other ways of being and doing. So allowing ourselves to follow the example of winter into spring, birthing force, the great awakening, and the idea or the illusion of death. I'll die if I don't have that. I gotta have it, whereas something is to die for. Is it? Like, what do you mean? Just being very careful how we recognize things. So it doesn't mean to just, resurrection is not just the body, but the ascension of the soul from all 3 bodily encasements to live immortally in oneness with the spirit that is manifesting as the entire universe, from the entire universe. So rising up into that and going from fasting to feasting. It's just like 1 E, it's like E equals MC squared. Yeah. The infinite amount of food you can have, and there's stuff in the back we're going to eat too. So recognizing all of these things. And in closing, I wanted to say, Confucius said, each of you has 2 lives, and the second one begins when you realize you have only one. So let's begin today. Wake up, begin your new spring, and stay awake. Peace and blessings. Now enjoy this song called Nothing Happens Without You. Experience the oneness with all that is at all times.
At times, I'd say I had self-control. At times I felt a prisoner of myself. Now all that's changed. Nothing happens without you. If all the world were suddenly gone, it couldn't happen without you. Of all the worlds we chose, love alone. Nothing happens without you. Nothing happens without you. You are air and you are wings. You are my work and repose, my rose garden and spring. Nothing happens without you. Galaxies of clearest night stand humbly before you. A hummingbird lands upon my hand. Nothing Nothing happens without you. Nothing happens without you. Your gentleness, your humbling power leaves my heart nowhere else to turn. Your beautiful names inscribed within this heart of mine. Where in the universe can I hide? Nothing happens without you. Nothing happens without you. Your gentleness, your humbling power leaves my heart nowhere else to turn. Nothing happens without you. Nothing happens without you.
Yeah, applause is fine. Thank you for that. Yeah, nothing happens without you, the infinite you, the individual you, the soul of who and what you are. Just awakening from the deep sleep of the winter of your consciousness, preparing through the fasting of the ego self and the physical world to prepare the mind for that cosmic consciousness, expanding out beyond the possibilities of right doing and wrong doing. There's that open field Ruby talks about. I'll meet you there. When the soul lies down upon that grass, words like you and I stop making any sense. So as we open into the divine feast of cosmic intelligence, which nourishes our soul like flowers of soul qualities, we are fragrant beings. And as we make our way through space-time continuum, may the bliss of our soul, may the fragrance of our hearts permeate all of the space in between and encourage others to, as Yogananda would say, catch a whiff of this divine joy and spark that intelligence, that remembering, that awakening to the oneness, the magnificence of spirit dancing together, spirit and nature dancing together. Cosmic mighty force of love, in which we live, move, and have our being. And may the blessings of the soul that resides in your being speak and sing and dance through the language of your heart, that we may partake of the feast of you in the union and community of a conscious global oneness called SoulCall Global. I'm feeling my heart beating in my chest, my feet on the floor, my thoughts way out beyond this room. Like a divine instrument, we are perfectly in tune when we say yes to the song of our soul. So we thank you for joining us today. SoulCall Sunday, bursting into spring, staying awake and ready. And we've got classes coming up that will help to develop that consciousness and that steadiness, just like riding a bike. There's that way we think we're riding the bike, all of a sudden we learn balance and we're doing it. There'd be somebody running behind. Maybe you had somebody holding the back of your seat, running behind you, and then it looked like you had it going, and they would let go of the back of your seat, and you might get a couple turns. If you're like me, as soon as I realized I was doing it, it was like, I'm doing it, bam. And the problem there was, the reality is, I wasn't doing it. Neither of any of us. When the adult would let go of the back of our seat, the intelligence of our being will constantly keep us by a series of what they call micro adjustments on your balance, little by little, back. So when our parental or physical friend let go of the back of our seat, the cosmic one took over through the intelligence and the design of this human form. So always remember that. When letting go of people who pass through, somebody who passes on, they're always with us. And the cosmic creator is behind that. Friend behind the friend, father behind the father, mother behind the mother, friend behind the friend. They are always with us. And when it looks like they let go of us physically, there's that other intelligence that, through a series of micro adjustments, keeps us on our, I don't even want to say straight and narrow, it keeps us on our beautiful path of exploration and diving into the real riches, the real life's true mysteries, life's true joyous duties. One of my favorite affirmations, I want to share it with you as you move about in the emergence of spring. You know, the same trees in the backyard, a different look, right? They're back and they look different. May we continue to grow and look a little different, and to have that boldness, that strength to just defy things that just because they've done it this way 100 years, a million years, I don't need to do it like that. I do it like this. This is what I want to do. We do that maybe in the cosmic kitchen, you know, when we're cooking, it always goes back to food. You add your little thing to it. I like this, I don't like that. But now I saw it, it tastes really good to me, it tastes good to other people. Do it your way. Do it your way. And this affirmation is, thou art wisdom and thou dost know the cause and end of all things. I am thy child, the drop. And I want to know life's true mysteries, life's true joyous duties. The wisdom in me shall show all that thou dost know, that thou dost know. Life's true mysteries, life's true joyous duties. Go for that. Go for that. And fast, take a fast from the things that preclude us from those things, or that make us believe we need these things first before I can have that thing. All you need is to remember who you are and to awaken in that and step fully into it. Let it embrace you. You can't embrace it. It's much bigger. Let it embrace you fully and fill you to overflowing from the inside out, spilling out into the world. So we thank you for tuning in this morning, and may your Easter basket be filled with all kinds of goodies inside and out to nourish your triune nature and then some, the physical, the astral, and the causal bodies. And thank you for being with us. We thank you for your donations. They help us to do what we do to create classes. You can find us at donate, soulcallglobal.org/donate. And we thank you for checks. There's Venmo. There's going to be a little code you can scan to get to our donations page. We thank you for that. And no amount is too large or too small. If you're looking for a place to get rid of lots of money before your taxes are due, we're a 501c3. It's always giggling like the Munchkins when I say that, but I really mean it. We're happy because we help others to eat. We sustain body, mind, and spirit. So we're helping in a lot of different ways. So we thank you for the opportunity to do the work we do in the world with the energy that you offer us and your trust with money. We also thank you for your prayers. If you are holding something that is really challenging, please let us pray with you and for you. Prayers at SoulCallGlobal.org. Our prayer team and healing arts team are fantastic. And there's going to be more about a healing arts community. Nicole is with us here today. And we're going to be letting you know some of the confluence of opportunities between the healing arts and SoulCall, how we're going to be working together in the future. So make sure you sign up for our newsletter. And you can get the newsletter at soulcallglobal.org. All the great information about classes coming up. And of course, every Monday night from 8 to 9 p.m. Eastern, I lead a Monday evening meditation talking about fasting from the world and going deep within. Monday nights, we're doing a peace meditation, but we do it every Monday night from 8 to 9 p.m. And also we're going to be praying deeply for our friends in Ukraine and Russia and surrounding areas and everyone in the world who is challenged right now. So many places and so many people. We are one in that consciousness. So let's see. I'm looking for graphics. I'm missing the peace graphic, and there are some other things coming up. I know I've got a grief recovery program that I'm going to offer. I'm an advanced grief recovery specialist, and starting in May 4th through June, every Wednesday night from 6:30 to 8 o'clock, I will be offering this. There'll be more information in the newsletter and on the website. You can sign up if you are grieving the loss of family, friends, or situations in life that you just need a little help getting over the hump and understanding how this works, and embracing it. This class is a really wonderful workshop. It's powerful, helping us to heal. So I believe that's it. You're going to be on the lookout too for some Qigong classes coming in May. Helen is going to offer a live class, and then we're going to be putting up a series of healing arts classes. Deborah Weisenberger-Lippitz will be involved in that. Natalia Zuckerman is going to offer a yoga class. I'll be offering meditation class and Qigong. So it's going to be a healing series that's coming soon. Coming soon in a newsletter near you. So once again, we thank you. We send out our love and blessings. Just give everybody a big yell, like, here's your love and blessings. And remember, wherever you are on the planet, always remember that you are love. Peace and blessings.
One family, one people, one planet, one love, one